Their horses are swifter than leopards, fiercer than wolves at dusk. Their cavalry gallops headlong, their horsemen come from afar. They fly like an eagle, swooping to devour. They all come intent on violence. Their hordes advance like desert wind and gather prisoners like sand. Habakkuk 1, verses 8 and 9. I served in the Air Force in the 1980s and 90s, before the fall of the Soviet Union. We were prepared to engage in hostilities with the communists at all times. And all we heard from the media was how terrible and fearsome our Soviet enemies were. Now, with the Soviets gone the way of the dodo, we hear the same thing about the communist Chinese, whose most impressive technological advances are, like the Soviets, stolen from others. Years ago, I knew what our capabilities were, and I didn't doubt that we could prevail over the Soviets or the Chi-Coms on their best days. I believe that still. There's just one caveat I'll make to that boast. If God has appointed an enemy, Soviet, Chinese, or anyone else, to prevail over us, there would be nothing we could do to stop them. There would be and should be great reason to dread the power of an enemy that God has decided to empower, to discipline, to correct, to call home someone who has moved away from devotion to the Almighty. What God has decided will happen. There's nothing that humanity can do to change that. God told Habakkuk that he was going to send the Babylonians to overturn Judah and teach it a lesson, because it refused to learn any other way. That army would be irresistible, fearsome, fierce, terrorizing. The terms God used in today's verse, swifter than leopards, fiercer than wolves, an eagle swooping to devour, well, they all come intent with violence, advance like a desert wind. Those terms mean that the invaders would be so powerful that there's nothing Judah would be able to do to resist or defeat them. In this, being undefeatable, they truly would be God's instruments of discipline. What's more, the Babylonians would defeat everyone in Judah. They would gather prisoners like sand, meaning everyone would be affected and taken captive. That the number of Judahites overcome would be too large to count. Well, all of this was meant by God to convince the people of Judah to repent, to turn back to Him, to turn back to Him fully. The coming calamity would be so terrible, so irresistible, that God painted a dire picture for them to pay full attention. History proves that they didn't, that the invasion came and Judah was overthrown and exiled to Babylon. Before time began, God knew that the Soviets wouldn't launch on us, and they never did. He knows what will happen in the future regarding China or any other nation as well. It's up to us right now to repent, change, and return to God to avoid any future disaster. The real question is, will we?